And there you go. The recording has started. Hi, my name is Eve Mix. I'm one of the advisors in the arts programs. The other advisor presenting with me today is Rhonda, and she is also an arts completion advisor. And she's going to be taking you through the steps of what it's going to be like for your first semester at university, and kind of things to help get you prepped. She is currently sharing her screen with our welcome from our First Nations. We appreciate that we are allowed to use their territory. So now I'm going to mute my video and my sound, and Rhonda is going to take over with the presentation.
Thanks, Eve. Hi, everyone. The first place that we wanted to show you was the Advising Centers page, because there's information there. So how you find us, of course I've memorized it, but it's ufv.ca/advising is how you get to the Advising Centers webpage. So here we all are, some of our students and some of us. You can see straight in the sort of the main section, it's all about booking your advising appointment. We sort of consider this to be your first advising appointment for fall semester, and the recommendation for the next time to make an appointment is usually at the end of October, beginning of November, because that's just right in time to prepare you for winter registration. So if you can scroll down, there's lots of stuff here about Discover Your University. You might also want to sign up for one of the how to register ones. I guess there's one left tomorrow on the 17th, because today is the 16th. But also under current students, we keep on going. You can see that's where the arts button is, and you just have to pop that open and then follow through the prompts to make an appointment with one of us. Eve and I are actually 2 out of 4 in terms of the group. So we also have a couple of other co-workers, colleagues that make appointments with students. The other part that we want to show you on our page is actually on the right-hand side here under program planning. You can expand the list, and you can see here's a page for art students. And this is where also some of the Discover University stuff is, right? So the presentations, this is where the video will go live, that sort of thing, right? So some of the things that we'll talk about today, if you happen to miss it or if I go through it too quickly, you can come back here and it'll be available to you here as well.
Rhonda?
Alrighty.
Rhonda, just a
yes.
moment. Your scrolling is going a lot slower than your speaking.
Talking.
Yeah. So just so you know, there's a bit of a lag with what you're showing and what you're talking about at this point.
Okay. Do I need to go back? Yes, the Wi-Fi, my speed. Do I need to go back to the appointment? Were we okay? Did I give enough time?
I think the best suggestion is that you guys can go back and view this presentation again and go through slowly, and you'll be able to see the different spots that she was talking about, and it'll make a little more sense maybe if it's not making sense right now.
Okay, and from here on out, I will also slow down on my scrolling and maybe wait a couple seconds before I start talking. So thank you for letting me know that, because it's, of course, on my screen, it's scrolling just fine. So UFV.ca/advising, let's see if I can go back, brings you to the main Advising Center page. And I originally just scrolled down past a lot of this information because a lot of it was about Discover Your University. And then under the current students heading, it would just be clicking on the plus sign beside arts, and then that opens up the gateway to make an appointment with one of us. That was the first one. So hopefully that's better. And then I just scrolled back up because I know that on the right-hand side we also have information, and I scrolled up to program planning, and I just hovered over the plus sign to open up the list. Hopefully you can see that. And then I clicked on art students to get to the page that I was just at. Ready? course, there's more information on here. You're always welcome to come back and start clicking around. That's how you start to learn where some of the information is, to start clicking on things. There's no harm in doing that. So that's a little bit of you telling me to move on to the next one, which is where I was going. So then the next thing is just to point out some of the information, the important pieces in the black header, because we find that a lot of students, even current students who are further into our studies, miss them. So we're going to click on academic calendar, which you can see is right here. So when we click on that one, what opens up is our legal document that houses all of the, rules, regulations, requirements, graduation requirements, entrance requirements, you name it, course descriptions, course prerequisites. This is the legal document that houses everything that we're going to be asking you to complete your programs. Again, lots of information here. Just going to point out two things, so hopefully I didn't scroll too far or too quickly. We're going to use the areas of study drop-down, and we're also going to use the select courses drop-down. Even I did have access to your questionnaire, so we know that a good number of you are interested in geography and history and potentially using your degree to move on to a teacher education program. So I'm going to choose some of these here specifically based on that information. So it's a little bit more connected to what you're wanting to do. So under the Select Area Study drop-down menu, this is where you are going to find your program requirements. So I'm going to choose geography because it just happens to be, first in the list. And as you can see, it's in alphabetical order. So you just keep on going until you find geography. And then what you see in geography that'll pop up on the left-hand side are all of the programs that are available to you. So we have honors, majors, extended minor, and then a program that unfortunately is not available at this time. When you actually click on one of these, then you'll actually see the course requirements that are actually expected. Today, we're not going to ask you to decide what your major or what your minors are going to be. It's something that we usually have a conversation around once you have 30 credits completed. So that's approximately 10 courses worth 3 credits each. But the BA does require you to choose at some point between 30 credits and 60 credits your one major or your 2 minors. So that's something that we usually have a further conversation with you sort of down the road. Today you don't need to know, we're not going to hold you to it, but if you want to see what the geography major would look like, you would click here and then you can see what the courses are required for that. Under the select courses, and I'm going to use history this time as the example, this is where you're going to find all of the courses that the history department has created that they could potentially offer. They start with the 100, and if you keep on scrolling down, you'll see that they will go all the way to 200 course numbers, 300 course numbers, and 400 course numbers. Sometimes we'll talk about them as lower level, so those are your 100 course numbers and your 200 course numbers. And then we also sometimes make a distinction between upper level as well, so that's your 300 and your 400 course numbers. You're going to be starting off with 100 level courses. Sometimes we'll say intro to whatever the discipline happens to be, usually 3 credits, usually no prerequisites, and a prerequisite is something that you need to have completed either at the high school level or at the university level before you'll be allowed to register in that course. And then in this section, you always get usually 2 or 3 lines as a summary of what the content is going to cover, right? So you'll be looking at, potentially Canadian history or European history if you're interested in history. So in the academic calendar, lots of information, but the important areas that we usually spend a lot of time on with students is usually in the areas of study. So we can talk about program requirements and then select courses so we can actually look at the individual courses, that sort of information. So then, anything else? I've sort of got a cheat sheet over here. Yeah, programs and courses, and yes, BA, in the end, around, like I said, 30 credits to 60 credits, we'll start having the conversation of what you're going to declare in terms of 1 major or 2 minors. Sometimes get asked the question, can I do more than that? And the answer is yes. If the double major, is allowed within the BA, you're allowed to do that. I've also had majors and 2 minors. Truthfully, the options that you're able to do after you meet the minimum requirements are entirely your choice. Usually takes a little bit more careful planning because we try and fit everything into the 120 credits that we're eventually going to ask you to complete. That's what a bachelor's degree asks you to do. So sometimes it can get a little tricky the more programs you add in, but you're allowed to do more. Eve hasn't texted me yet, but we're going on because I've run out of things to say at this moment in time, which is unusual. Oh, but she's telling me it's time now, so I'm actually getting good at this 5-minute thing. So the next piece, again, still in this black bar, but actually from the academic calendar, because it wasn't on the homepage, so that's why we specifically went to the academic calendar first, is a link to registration. And this is the Office of the Registrar page that outlines the 6 steps in terms of what the registration process is going to look like. So this one, I'll try and scroll a little bit slower because I know that there's a time lag here. So the first step always is to pay your $200 deposit at least 72 hours, so approximately 3 business days before your assigned date and time. You will be assigned your full tuition amount when you do register for your courses, but we ask for $200 of that up front. So I do get asked, is the $200 extra? It is not. It is part of your full tuition amount. We just ask that $200 be paid up front. Right now, of course, we're not doing anything sort of in person, so I believe most financial institutions allow you to set this up sort of as you're paying a bill. So you can just search for UFV or sometimes the full name, University of the Fraser Valley, to see if they're in the list that they'll allow. And then your student number is actually the account number that we're looking for. The second piece, second step is to find your registration time. This is going to be logging into My UFV. We're going to do some of this as well in the last step as I'll log into My UFV and show you where some of this information is. But you can see that the Office of the Registrar has given you the words as to where you sort of navigate in My UFV to get to that space. If you're not a word person and reading through instructions, they also have their video tutorial here. And I also imagine that if you do sign up for the last How to Register session, they'll show you the same information in real time as well with screenshots in terms of, click here, click here, click here. This is how you, navigate the MyUFV and where the information is. Now, you will be assigned a specific day and time, and I believe yesterday morning is when the Office of the Registrar informed our office that either tomorrow, Wednesday, or Thursday is when the fall timetable is going to be published and your registration time will be made available to you. There will be students who will be registering ahead of you. There will also be students who register after you, but your assigned registration time, that is when you are allowed to register. Once that day and time goes, you are allowed to register at any point thereafter. You just cannot register ahead of time. Find out which courses you need to take is they're saying is step number 3, find the academic calendar. Well, we've already done that. And have an appointment with advisor. Well, guess what? That's, Eve and I today. So you're doing step 3 right now. Step 4 is build your schedule. There's a link to the timetables. Like I said, unfortunately, the fall timetable is not live yet. We also have the interactive course finder. There's also a video on how to read the timetable. If we have time, I'm not sure if we do, I might come back to this section and click on the interactive course finder so that you can see what that information looks like. Usually the biggest question we get asked, of course, for first semester is how many courses should I take? Our recommendation is usually 3 or 4. The institutional definition of full-time is 9 credits, so that would be 3 courses if they're 3 credits each. And of course, our recommendation is also based on the fact that 3 credit course is expected to have 3 hours of lecture time and then 3 to 6 hours a week in homework, and then whatever other your time commitments are that you need to build in. So we try to sort of ensure that you have enough time to do everything and then still, do the normal stuff like eat and sleep and, allow your brain to, decompress. Then the next step, 5, is register for courses. Again, you're going to log into My UFV to do so, but that will be on your exact day and time. Again, as of yesterday, the Office of the Registrar told us that they're expecting registration dates to be assigned starting July 2nd after Canada Day. So that's when we're expecting fall registration to happen, or starting. Again, they've given you the words as to, click here, how you navigate My UFV to find that space. Or again, if you're a more visual person, they have their video on how to register, waitlist, or withdraw. And again, I expect that will happen in the registration session as well. And then, of course, the last thing, which is all the important one, is the attend the first day of class. Again, slightly difficult when courses are going to be mainly online for fall semester. So what it is that you must log in to your virtual classroom by noon, so 12 noon on the second day of classes. Now classes this year start on September 14th, so you need to log in by 12 noon on September 15th to show the instructor that you have attended class, because the instructor always has the ability to sign your seat away to students on the wait list. So you want to make sure that for anything that you're registered for, that you do sign in by that time. I've been given it's been timed, so I spent a lot of time on this page, so I'll not be able to go and click on timetables or Interactive Course Finder, so I'll go on to the next thing, which is actually logging into my UFV. So again, as I said, we're going to spend lots of time in this black header. My UFV, as you can see, is right here. Now I'm going to log in as me, and I'm an employee, which means that I'm not a current student. So there will be certain places that I'll just have to end. I won't be able to show you the full places because I actually am not allowed to register, and fall registration hasn't started yet. So of course, everything is lower. This is what your homepage should look like as well. The first thing that I'm probably going to point out is actually on the right-hand side here, student email. So this is where UFV employees are going to send you information, and where we're also expecting you to, send your questions to us as well. So whatever your contact is with UFV. So I've been alerting students to the fact that you need to get used to accessing the student email system here. So yeah, the Office of the Registrar will contact you. We will contact you. Your instructors may potentially contact you. We're going to use your student email address. And for the most part, IT has set it up as your first name dot last name at student.ufv.ca. And for employees, it's our first name dot last name at ufv.ca. But I think for the time being, I asked Eve to, in the chat room, put our general advising email address up there. If you did have questions that we weren't able to get to or you didn't feel comfortable asking, you can send your questions to that one, and then one of four of us will be replying to you. But get used to using your student email, because that's where a lot of things happen, is in there. This is where you're also, if we scroll down a little bit further, in my class, this is where once you register for your courses, your classes will pop up, and this is where you'll be able to access them and to go into your virtual classroom to do that first day of attendance. Or I guess, no, sorry, it's under my courses, but you can see there's a couple of places where you'll be able to access them. But a lot of the registration information is actually on the left-hand side under the UFV self-service links and under student information. So this is where you go to check what your registration time is, and when it is your registration date and time, you can actually go to register. So under student services, it's actually registration, but you can see that there's other information here. So, after you register, you'll be able to see what your total amount is under student billing and accounts. At the end of the semester, when your instructors are submitting your final grades, you'll be able to go to student records and see what your grades are. But we're going to go on to registration. And as you can see, I've been on this already with students who are asking the same questions. The first one is actually the bottom one here, which is check your registration time and eligibility. This is where you'll click either tomorrow or Thursday. And I believe OREG is going to email students to let you know when the information has come out. So you just come here, click on check your registration time and eligibility, and that's when you'll be able to see what your specific date and time is. Then when your specific date and time comes, then you come here and do the register, add, drop, waitlist, or withdraw. This is where you'll put in the course registration numbers for the courses that you've chosen. And that information will be showing in the timetable or the interactive course finder, whichever tool that you plan on using. Yes, then the other one, I guess We'll go back to home. The other one is our advising tool or academic program planning tool. We call it My Grad Plan, and it's not available on the home page, and that's where I find most students don't know what I'm talking about because they don't know where to find it because it's actually under Campus Life. So this time I'm not using the very top navigation bar, but in the light green, here is Campus Life, and My Grad Plan is found in here. As you can see, top left, My Grad Plan. Of course, it's very, very small, but you click the word here to move into, we're getting closer to it. You can see that ORID has given you some information about what My Grad Plan does. Basically, the Office of the Registrar took all the information in terms of program requirements that were listed in the academic calendar, which is where we started out at. They have put that into this computer program, and then this computer program is also attached to your student record. So as soon as you register for courses, you complete courses, you register for the next semester, that information then comes into My Grad Plan, and then you get to see what have you completed, what are you currently in progress with, and then, of course, the more important piece is the what do you still need to complete. So very, very, very bottom, it's access your personal My Grad Plan here. Now this next step, again, is because I'm an employee. So you will not have to do this step because when you log into My UFV, it'll go straight to your page. I've put in my student number because at one time I was a student, so I have some information in here, and I'm okay with sharing it with you. As you can see, I'm in continuing education, so that's not a program. So I'm going to use the what if over here and pull up the BA requirements, because this, of course, is going to answer the larger question that everyone is here, which is, what do I take my very first semester? Obviously, my first click didn't work. Okay, I'm not going to choose a major minor. I think I'll just leave it as Bachelor of Arts because I just want to show you the general BA requirements. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. So sorry. Let's do this one. So, here I am. It's pulled in my courses. Don't worry, they were taken a long time ago. The first section always will show you what the Bachelor of Arts degree requirements are. So, point out that, you're going to complete 120 credits. Don't be too concerned about that because, again, it's just first semester, but that eventually is what we'll ask you to do. And then, general education requirements. And these are some of the things that we, suggest you consider for fall semester. Fall semester is usually, a combination of, courses that you're interested in, courses that are required, potentially even electives. Electives mean it's a discipline that you've chosen, that UFV offers a course in, it's 100 level or higher, you satisfy the prerequisites for, it's something you're interested in, because it's going to be 3 credits or 4 credits that we'll use towards a total of 120. But in terms of our general education requirements, we have things like asking you to complete a writing course, one of English 105 or Communications 120 or Communications 125. I know at one point in this presentation I said that most of the courses that are intro to disciplines have no prereqs. These ones do, but what we're looking for is English 12 with a C+, and that satisfies the prereqs for these courses, so that's fine. I also expect that these courses will be offered in the fall because these are courses that the departments like to offer every single semester, including summer. Remember, you're just choosing courses for fall. In November, we'll ask you to choose courses for January, which is what we call our winter semester. We have a written oral visual communication requirement. In your My Grad Plan, you'll be able to see all of the different courses you can choose from. You only need to complete one course. As you can see, I did a language course, so it's pulled, the computer system is pulled in my German course. We asked you to complete a critical thinking requirement. There's one course from 2 here. My recommendation usually is to consider the Philosophy 100. It's a reasoning course, has no prerequisites, is offered every single semester. IDS stands for Interdisciplinary Studies. It's not offered as frequently. Eventually, we'll ask you to complete a quantitative literacy course. And yes, for some students who are thinking that they want to teach at the elementary level, you don't have to worry about this requirement because you will down the road be completing Math 105 like I did, and that will satisfy this requirement. But there's other courses in this list as well. If you're in geography, there's probably going to be one of the major requirements. Will satisfy this requirement. So again, something that you'll complete down the road. This is usually a course I say don't worry about for your first semester, but I'm just giving you the heads up that down the road we'll ask you to complete something along these lines. Also a science course, you can see the full list of what you get to choose from. Again, I expect some of these, because they have no prerequisites, they'll be offered in the fall semester. But again, usually this is a course that I would recommend that you, consider for a future semester. Don't worry about it for your very, very first semester. We do have a second language. And of course, because I'm taking more time, our time is up, but I'll just talk about second language and then we'll move on to questions. Second language competency, we do want you to complete a language course, but if you have language up to the grade 11 level, then you've actually satisfied our second language competency requirement. So you do not have to take German 201 like I did. And truthfully, I'd gotten to the requirements where I'd be telling you our civic engagement, our intercultural engagement, and our e-portfolio. These are requirements that we usually discuss with you, again, once you're further along after completing some courses. So this would be, again, things not that you don't have to worry about for fall semester, since it's your first semester. Okay, I'm just going to look at my list again. So we went to the advising page. I showed you where book an appointment is and where the arts sort of program planning information is. We went to the academic calendar. I showed you the program or select areas of study. So the program dropped down and the courses dropped down. And then briefly said BA will be 1 major, 2 minors. Showed you the registration page. And then my UFV, and we'd be talking about sample semesters, registration dates, times. So I guess the only thing I didn't talk about was the dates and deadlines, but back on the OREG page on how to register on the right-hand side is dates and deadlines. So the Office of the Registrar always has when certain things are supposed to happen. So your parents are going to want to know when the fee payment deadline is. If you go to the dates and deadlines, it will show you that information, and it's always broken up per semester. So fall semester will have its own dates, winter semester will have its own dates, and summer semester will have its own dates, but those are always there. And Eve has popped up, but I guess I can stop sharing, huh? So I can actually look at some of these questions.
There haven't been any questions submitted. So if you guys have additional questions that Rhonda hasn't answered in the presentation, please start typing those in the chat function, and we will go through those because we still have half an hour. So if there's anything that you want some clarification, or you have a specific question about a major or a minor, fire away, please.
Yeah, because I've gone through everything that Eve and I had, talked sort of beforehand and sort of planning this out, what we wanted to go through. Eve kept me on time. We actually did this in 30 minutes, which is what the plan was. So, we're doing good.
Okay, so we got a couple of questions.
Okay.
How do we tell what campus a course is on, Rhonda?
Okay, so in the timetable, I guess I'm going back to screen sharing. So Eve, if you keep on.
Yep. Then we've got another question in there as well once you answer that one.
Okay, yeah, so if you keep track of time and do all those sorts of things, right? Of course, some of the stuff. Yeah, so for back in the how to register, it will be step number 4, and it will be in the timetable. So I'll show you an older version because, of course, with fall semester, it being mainly online, you're just going to see a certain code in the timetable. So I'm going to use our timetable archives to show you hopefully our winter semester still had the campus codes. This time I'm just going to pick on English. So let's just test it out and see. Yes, they did. Thank goodness. Phew. Oh, it's being silly. I don't know what's going on. I'll just stop scrolling and ask it to do things. Okay, let's go back. So let's go to English. So the other reason why I chose English was because I wanted to show you that some of our departments offer courses that are not considered university level. So we call these pre-university or preparation or upgrading. So I chose English with another reason behind this is because you can see that the first English course in the timetable is 052. Oh, that also reminds me that I forgot to tell you as well that the timetable will list all the courses that the departments are offering in the fall semester. So the academic calendar, when I was in the courses drop-down menu, those are all the courses that the department has created, but the timetable will list what exactly they're offering that you get to choose from. So if you scroll down to the first 100 level English course, so English 105, you still have some academic calendar information here, right? So English 105, academic reading, 3 credits. You get to see what 3 credits is worth, and then the prerequisite is listed here as well. And then you can see these are all the different days and times that the course that you got to choose, which day and time you wanted, to take the course. But when you asked about how we know what the campus is, it's actually what we call our section number, and it's actually the second piece of information here. So I'm going to back up to the first piece of information because this is the more important piece, which then led it think the question was good. It led us to, talking about this sort of stuff, right? So every course and every day and time that it's offered, or every, time that you can actually register for a section, because with online there won't be days and times potentially. Is this 5-digit number. Everything will be assigned a 5-digit number, and this is our course registration number. And this is when you go into My UFV on your specific day and time and go into that register, add, drop, waitlist, withdraw area. This is where you're going to, type in the 5-digit course registration numbers to register. But when you asked about how we would know a campus, it's actually our section numbers. That's information here. So AB2 basically says that it's Abbotsford and it's the second section. I usually don't pay too much attention to the numbers because that's just a counting mechanism to keep everything separate. But what you'll see will be ABs. And when you keep on scrolling down, you might see some other ones. Yeah, so CH will stand for Chilliwack and ON stands for online. Every once in a while, you might see an MI, which stands for mission, and even few and further between, so not on the rare side, but pretty unusual, you might see an HO, and that stands for hope. So those are our sections, but those also are letting you know what campus the courses are going to be offered on, right? So I expect for the fall timetable, there will be a lot of ONs because pretty much everything is going to be online. There are some courses that have been given approval to have some of their components offered in the in-person format, but that will be all information there. Sorry, Eve's texting me something. Next. Okay, yeah, next question then. So what's the next one?
Suggestions for 3 courses for your first semester.
Okay, so I usually like to do sort of the 2/3, 1/3 split. Choose 2 courses that you're interested in. They're going to be 100 level. They're going to be intro to the discipline. They're going to have no prerequisites for the most part. And then the third one, so the 2/3, 1/3 split, a required course. So choose something off of the general education's list for the Bachelor of Arts degree. So whether that's, an English course, a communications course, one of those written oral visual, communication courses there, the Flossy 100. Again, we academic advising advisors usually recommend taking your writing requirement and your critical thinking requirement within your first 10 courses or your first 30 credits because you're building the skills to, then move on to all of the rest of their courses, or I should say your instructors are expecting you to be able to know how to, write a paper and have a cohesive argument there, right? Because that's what the writing requirement and the critical thinking requirements are all about, is to have you, start working on those skills, right? So they don't have to be for fall semester specifically. They're definitely going to be offered in the fall semester. I guess that's the other thing. If you generate a list of, 5 or 6 courses that you're interested in, choose 3, keep the other, 2 or 3 on the list, because whatever you don't take in the fall, because they are lower level courses or 100 level courses or courses that have no prereqs, they are bound to show up in winter. So whatever you don't take in the fall, don't despair. Say I'll have to wait until next fall to take them. It's not true. I would expect that in winter semester they'd be on the list and you'd be able to take them then. So if you're taking 3 courses, it's usually choose 2 courses that you're interested in and then choose 1 course that's required. That's usually my recommendation. I don't know, Eve, if you wanted to add in anything in there. Because honestly, it's all about, I know students don't want to, sort of take the wrong course because they're, I've heard things like wasting time and money, those sorts of things, right? We actually do not have a specific list of, here's your first semester courses, choose 3. Because our program is quite flexible, outside of your requirements, we do have a good number of electives to reach that 120. So really, truthfully, first semester is all about you can take anything that UFV offers, as long as it's 100 level higher. You get into trouble if you choose a course that's 0. That's why I chose English section in the timetable to, let you know that you might see some 0 course numbers, right? But really, truthfully, you can't go wrong. There's no such thing as a wrong course choice, because if you're choosing something that you're interested in, that could potentially, turn into what your, major or one of your minors is going to be. So I don't consider, first semester that you're going to take a misstep. So as long as UFV offers the course, it's 100 course number, you satisfy the prereqs, you should be able to take it, and that shouldn't be a problem for your first semester. But yeah, I usually like the 2/3, 1/3 split. 2 courses, your choice, 1 course, a requirement.
Next question is there a writing and composition course to improve your essay writing?
And I would say it's going to be based on your prerequisites. So usually communications 120 or even some of the English course numbers that are in the zeros would be if you don't have English 12 with a C+. If you have English 12 with a C+, then both our communications and our English departments have said that you can, go, you have enough, ability to move into communications 125 or English 105. Question I usually get asked between those two is, though, which one should I take? What's the difference? If you're concerned, read the question again to me, Eve, please.
Is there a writing and composition course to improve essay writing?
I'd probably lean towards the English 105 because that's purely academic writing. That is what I like to call the traditional, first year university level English course. You're going to learn things like thesis statements and writing the essays and conclusions and all of those sorts of things. So I'd probably say English 105. But communications is also valid. It's not like communications in high school where it's sort of considered the dumbed down version. And I use quotes there because I don't believe in that. Because here, communications, there's still, our department looking at the English language and how to read and write and present. They just happen to usually have a more practical, hands-on, applied approach to that discipline because they're going to be looking at, what do employers, what do future employers want you to be able to do? So, they may cover things such as, email etiquette, how to write, a business memo, do some, some of the social media stuff and blogging. And they have, some pretty cool stuff there. But they also will, show you how to, do some research writing. So I'd say it's based on what you're interested in. But based on that question, I'd lean towards English 105.
The other thing to keep in mind is if you're going into teaching, you're going to need to take English 105 for sure. It's going to be a prerequisite for getting into any teaching program.
Yeah.
That's Next it question. For questions?
Really? Oh my goodness. Really?
Pretty quiet with the questions today.
I know. That's okay.
Any other areas that we didn't touch on that you answers about or finding on the website?
Throwing different disciplines at us, right? Because we focused on geography and history, right? And teaching. But, there are a lot of other, arts disciplines out there.
Here we go. A couple more. Okay. Can we get specific advising at the school if we want to do education? Usually how it works is that you will see Eve or I, or one of our other 2 counterparts, Joanna or Kirsten, for your degree advising. Barbara Salengray is our education program advisor. She will hold information sessions in the fall and winter semester that you are allowed to sign up for. She usually doesn't do one-on-one appointments though with students until you have 90 credits completed because you're getting closer to actually applying to be accepted to her program. So that's usually how it goes. So there's also information in, remember that academic calendar? Where are we? I think I've dropped it out because I went to how to register. But if you wanted to see what the entrance requirements are for our teacher education program, remember that calendar is always in that black header. So on any of our pages, you can always navigate there. And in the select areas of study, you would choose teacher education. And yes, I'm scrolling fast and I know that I'm lagging, so I'll slow down. It's actually not too bad.
Not too bad now? Okay. So you see teacher education is here. And then we do have the 2 programs. And Bachelor of Education is the one that you're going to be applying to after you've completed your Bachelor of Arts degree. And then they split out the entrance requirements between elementary and middle, which is kindergarten to grade 7. And entry requirements for secondary, which is grade 8 through grade 12. So if we were to go back up to elementary, and when Eve was saying, we're going to ask you to complete, English 105, yes, straight here you can see second line in, right? You need 3 credits of English composition. Well, that's English 105. You also need 3 credits of English literature. That would be English 108 or English 170, and that could be potentially, winter courses for you. You will need 3 credits of Canadian history. Well, that's History 101 or History 102 or History 103. You need 3 credits of Canadian geography. That's Geography 130 or 131. The history and the geography have no prerequisites, again, are offered every single semester. So these could also be potential courses for fall semester. You need 4 credits of a lab science course. Again, I remember I said don't worry about your science course until, second or third semester. So that would be something that we would talk about at a future appointment about what your options are here. Remember I said you need Math 105. This is where I stop and say hopefully you all have Math 11. Can't even remember Foundations of Math 11, Pre-Calc 11. Of course, we have all the different variations from over the years. I took it as Principles of Math 11. There's been so many times the BC Ministry have changed it, but that's what we're looking for as a prerequisite for Math 105. And again, not typically a first semester course, but something for down the road. And then the last 2 specific courses here, again, prerequisitely wise, you're not going to jump into first semester because you need to have a certain number of credits behind you. But these are within your degree. These are the courses that you need to have completed in order to satisfy the academic entrance requirements. But that's not everything. There's other things that you're also, required to complete as well. But usually we're able to incorporate all that information into your elective courses or, satisfying some of those gen ed requirements for your BA so that you're able to satisfy the academic side of the entrance requirements for a teacher education program. And then, like I said, the info sessions that Barbara holds that you'll be able to sign up for if you're interested. So in the fall semester, I think, don't expect her to have the dates up, but I guess I could show you where you can find that information. So I went to the academic calendar. So this time, I'm just going to go to UFV.ca. And I like to scroll to the very bottom and now use the very big black footer. And I like to use under the help section, the A to Z websites because I know where I'm going. And when we get to this page, we just have to start typing a few words, but at least let me type the letters in the correct order. And then you can see the teacher education pops up. And then this leads us to the teacher education website as well. And you can see on the right-hand side, it's just the second one down, attend an info seminar. So then Barbara would have the dates and the times, and you'd be able to sign up just like you did for today's session for Discover Your University. There'll be days and times, and you'll be able to click through and sign up for one of those. I don't think she has the dates for fall yet. Oh, I'm wrong. She does. Look at that. So she's already decided what they are, so you can just register if you wanted to. Yeah. Oh, I wasn't paying attention. You said next. Okay, next one. Should have known.
Is about AP courses and
yes.
How do they translate to university if you've done AP?
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, the information that we've gotten so far is that IB courses didn't write their exams, so I'm not sure if AP exams were written or not. But up until this year, the reply has always been that you actually need to write the exam. You need to score 4 or 5 on the exam, and then have those exam results forwarded to our Office of the Registrar so that the information can be reviewed and assessed. So things like, English 12, I know there's 2 AP exams. It just depends on which one you completed. One, I believe, gives you English 105 credit. The other one gives you English 108 credit. There are other courses there as well. I believe the specific listing you can actually find in the BC Transfer Guide.
English was the one they were curious about.
Okay, yeah, so I know that there's 2 different exams, and I can never remember which one garners, what the exact credit is. Because I think it's, literature and composition and language and composition or something like that. I think that always throws me off. But like I said, I do know that one gives you English 105 credit, and then the other one usually gives you English 108 credit. So then, because sometimes that information doesn't come through to us until a little bit later, our usual recommendation is to not register in English 105 or English 108 for fall semester until you know for sure what credit you've been granted, because OREG will always let you know when they've updated the information on your student record, and then you'll be able to go into My UFV and look at your transcript to see what credit you've been given for your AP coursework / exam results. And then, if it is English 108, and so you need to take English 105, then know that English 105 will be offered in the winter semester, and you can take English 105 then. So usually for the first semester, when we don't exactly know what credit you're going to receive, it's usually the stay away from taking the UFV course. So basically you don't duplicate credit. We consider that a repeat, right? We want you to be able to receive credit for both things, right? So yeah, so I don't know what's going to happen this year, because we know for sure that the IB exams weren't written. And I think OREG is still sorting out what they're going to do with that. But it still is send all the information that you have on your AP courses. And if you did write the exam, your score to the Office of the Registrar, and they'll sort it out. Because, this year is a little extra special.
You said that the AP were written.
Okay, so then the Office of the Registrar just needs to know what your exam results are, and usually you do receive university level credit if you receive a score of 4 or a score of 5.
And that's it for questions.
Okay.
If anybody has any more, we've got another 5 minutes or so. Remember that we are recording this. It will be posted. I'm not sure how quickly they're going to have it posted up, but you will be able to find it off of the advising webpage and the Discover Your University website as well. So you can go back and review all the stuff that we've been talking about and all the pages that Rhonda was walking you through. And and then again, if you have more questions that we haven't answered, it's advising@ufv.ca. And we look forward to you guys joining the family at UFV.